Hey there, if you're watching this video, then you must have reached to my VS Code extension, that is AI Code Companion, and you are trying to find out how can you make it your own companion on day-to-day basis to increase the productivity. And especially if you are an engineer, architect, or quality engineer, or someone who uses the VS Code on day-to-day basis for their jobs. So without delaying it further, let's quickly find out how can you start using AI Code Companion. See you there. Hey, we're back here, and let's quickly start how to install the AI Code Companion. So if you are using VS Code, then what you can do, you can quickly come to the extension window, which shows all the extensions that you can use on your day-to-day basis. It also shows you all the installed extensions on your system. And what you need to do, you need to simply search for the extension and just see the author, Vikash Bhardwaj. And once you install it, VS Code might ask you to reload the window because that's a standard process. And once you install it, you will be able to see this button here in the activity bar, which is AI for the AI Code Companion. And once you click it, first thing that you will observe is there is a lot of information given here. And this is a splash screen that tells or gives a very high level information to the users that how can you use the AI Code Companion. So for example, you can do many things: fix code errors, generate snippets, explain code, then write test cases, and maybe if you want to do automated code review for your Git changes, that also can be done. Now at the down, you will see that we have given what are the multiple ways to interact with the companion. The first way is to provide the input in the text box here and hit enter or click on the send button. The other way to do it is the right click the code, and there are multiple context menus. You will see here AI Code Companion, and there are multiple options here: document, selected code, explain code, and we will quickly see these. Now the further what you can do, you can also write inline comments to get the answers from the AI Code Companion. So let's quickly start using it. So the first thing that you need to do, you need to set the access key provided by your AI provider. So, and what you can do, you can find out right now the extension works with the two AI providers. As soon as you open the settings, I have just opened the settings by clicking on this button here, open extension setting. You can actually do this by running a command as well. So once you type AI Code Companion, so you will see there are multiple commands given here, and one of the command is open extension setting, which is, I believe, yep, that's the one. So once you open it, you will see here two types of setting. One is user setting, another is workspace setting. People who use VS Code, I'm sure they're aware. I don't need to get into which setting that we need to change. For me, I'm using it as a workspace. So I'm going to click on the workspace and I'm going to check which AI provider I'm using. So there are two options right now for users to use a companion. One is OpenAI. The other option is that you can use PS Chat. Now, interestingly, PS Chat is only for people who are working with Publicis Sapient, because PS Chat gives you a private instance, cloud instance of OpenAI, just to secure and just to make sure there is more data privacy, and there will be no training to the models by using the prompts that we are giving from the companion. But for now, I'm going to use the OpenAI. So what you need to do, you need to find out the settings for the max model max token length and the model name. So in this case, I'm using, and you have the full freedom to use different models provided by your AI provider. So for example, by default, when you will install, you will see the model name is GPT-3.5-turbo only turbo. But for now, I have changed it to 16K because I want to retain a bigger, I would say, context for my chat, so that I don't need to give the code again and again to the companion. Now, if you try to use it now without giving the access key, what is going to happen? So let's say if you hit enter, it is going to tell you no access token found. Hence, now it's time to give the access token. And to do that, I need to copy it. So let me pause the video and quickly copy the extension access token. Okay, I have copied the access token now. Let me set it up. So again, AI Code Companion. Now you'll see there is a command here, set access key. So as soon as you run this command, you can get this input box where you can paste your access token, and as soon as you hit enter, it shows you a message, access key has been saved. Now just to update you, the access token is, we are not giving an option to save the access token in the extension setting just because of the privacy reasons, security reasons. So what we do, we are securing this as part of the storage using the encryption approach. Now, if you want to use your encryption key to secure it further, you can follow the documentation and you will find how to provide your own API like access key for securing the access token. Now let's start. Now again, let's try to use it. I'm saying hi. Okay, now we got the input. Hello, how can I assist you? Now let's say how can you help me? Okay, so I can help you with variety of programming related tasks. Here are some examples, and this is just giving you some examples. I'm sure there is more than this what you can do, because I have been using this at least for my day-to-day basis, and been able to achieve or like get most pretty complex work done with the help of the companion. Now let's see the first use case. How can you do this? So if you remember our splash screen, it was talking about the one way to give the command to the companion is select the code, and you can pick one of the extension command. So for example, in this case, what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select all of the code, and I'm gonna say explain selected code. Let's see how does it work. And while this is happening, right, what you can do, you can start typing your next prompt. But if you try to hit enter, it will not work because there is already an API under the hood going on. But you definitely have an option to cancel this, because in some cases, what if you want to cancel the API because you just send the wrong prompt? Now what you can see, it has given you the response. The code is React component that represents a to-do list application. Let's go through this step by step. I'm not going to go through all these steps, but this is something which becomes really helpful for a team member who joins the new team. Many times we keep hearing that we need a lot of code context, we need time for ramping up the team members, which is fine, you will still need it. But now you may not need a buddy to explain the code, or maybe to make them understand how the flow is working. Rather, what they can do, they can select the code and they can ask companion to explain the code. And it is quite explanatory. It gives as much as detail possible. If you're not satisfied and you want to find out more, what you can do, you can give further command to it, because now it has built the context for this code. So that's one way to use it. Another approach to use it is select the code. For example, in this case, I can select the code and I can write the commands in the text area and then ask my question. And for doing that, what I've done is I have written few prompts here just to save time. Let me copy the first prompt and go back to the file which I opened. So for example, right now it is selected. Now what I want to do, I want to say what library I should use for writing test cases for this code. So I'm asking what kind of library I should use. Now as soon as I hit enter, you will see that it has taken the code from your editor and sent it to the AI. And let's see what response it gives you. Okay, so here's the response. For writing test cases for this method function, you can use a testing library like Jest. Jest is popular testing framework, JavaScript, and commonly used for testing React applications. To set up, now the good part is that it always surprises you. So I only asked for the testing library, but now it is giving me a further assistant to how to install that library and how to start writing test cases. That's amazing, isn't it? Because now it says create a new file. For example, in this test file, you can use this code, and then it is giving you an example as well. So now you can ask more. You can ask it to write more test cases. But one thing before I move further, what I can tell you, for every code block in the companion, you will get 3 options. One is to copy the code. So as soon as you copy the code, you can paste it anywhere. You can actually click on this create new file with the code. So as soon as I click it, it will create a new file with this code. That's just an example. Or maybe you can insert this code here. So for example, I just inserted it. I'll do a undo. And then now you know that, right? AI Code Companion has got some context. I can say, can you please write few more test cases to control the quality for future changes, right? And I say enter. Let's see what it does. Okay. Now it says certainly here are few additional test cases that you can consider for the toggle task completed function. And now you're all set to start writing the test cases and increase the code coverage and make sure that the quality of the code that you're writing is all super. Now let's go with the next example. Now this was a simple writing the test cases for the code that you have written. But what if you want to extend the code? What if you want to change some feature and you already have written some code? Then this time what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna copy this code, and what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna select the whole file, right? And I'm gonna paste that command command here, and it says, can you please extend this code to add new React component which will show a text with p tag. This p tag should have the value like new task added, name of the new task added. This p should only render if user have added a new task in the to-do list or task list, and this new component should be rendered just after the UL of task list. So I'm trying to give some direction to the AI model and ask it to extend the code or to change or add a new feature. That's what I'm trying to do. So let's try that. Let me try this. So in this case, I have given the whole file, the whole component, and let's see how is it able to help us. Okay, now we are here. Certainly, it is now telling us certainly to add a new component that shows the last task added. You can modify the app component as follows. Now, what do you see here? So it has given you the updated code, and it also is telling us by putting the comment. So for example, set the latest task when a new task is added, right? So it has changed the code, and once you see that, we gave the command or we gave the direction to the AI model that hey, please add this new p tag after the task list or UL in the component. So it is actually able to do that, right? And I'm sure this is not something new, but it is now becoming helpful because now you are able to use within the editor. You don't need to switch back to your browser. So this is just an example, but you can. I'm sure there are many ways you can use it to extend the existing features. Now let's go with the next example, which is, can you please find optimizations in the selected code and also provide updated code in case you find any optimizations. And these optimizations can be engaged design patterns, code quality, performance, accessibility. Now, why I have given this? I have given this extra context in terms of the quality, performance, accessibility because just sometime what I have realized, if you don't give this context, then you are not able to get that level of quality in the outcome that you are looking for. So let's quickly try this. I'm going to copy this again, and I'm going to go form.js, right? So I have selected this whole code, and I'm going to paste my prompt here. I'm going to hit enter, and let's see how does it provide the optimizations. Bingo. Now here it is. So it says the code you provided for the form component looks good overall. However, I have identified a few areas where you can make some optimizations and improvements. Type in onClick attribute. The onClick attribute in the input element should be written with a lowercase c instead of uppercase. Change this. I mean, let's look at it, what it's saying. So it's saying that you have an input where you have used onClick. Okay. So which means I mistakenly, while I was typing it, I actually did not use the right event name, right? So it should be capital C. So it is now telling me that you should use capital C here to make it work. Unnecessary event handler binding in the input element. you can directly pass the handle change function as the on change event handler without the need of explicit binding replace this. I mean, that's another optimization it is able to find. Input value binding. Since the name state is already bound in the input value, you can make the input element a controlled component by removing the value attribute. Now you can imagine, right? Sometime when you're working and when you're dealing with complex components, React components, or maybe Java, I don't know, whatever you're working with. So sometimes you tend to miss some of the best practices. Now here is the companion which you can use to find those improvements and incorporate those as before you raise the PR. Now, another point to note here, accessibility improvements add an ARIA label attribute to the input element, provide a more descriptive label. Now, this is again, you can use it the ARIA label, but sometime I personally feel that if you are able to do with semantic attributes or elements, that make more sense. But but in some cases you might want to use ARIA attributes as well. But the important point here is that it is not only giving me the optimization, but it also gave me the optimized code. So for example, all the optimizations that it has recommended, it has incorporated all of that and give me the code. Let's move to the next example. Now, the next example is very straightforward. Let's say if you are someone who want to understand the concepts and you don't want to pay hefty subscriptions to different learning platforms, right? So what you can do, you can actually ask the questions to the companion and then get your and build your more understanding around that concept. For example, can you please, I'm just going to give a command. Can you please explain the destructuring concept in JS with examples? Let's try to do it. Okay, here it is. So it says certainly destructuring is a feature in JavaScript that allows you to extract values from array objects and assign them to variables. And you can see, right, it gives you very detailed response like destructuring the arrays, destructuring the objects. There are examples that it has generated for me. Now I can easily understand the concept and try it out in my code, right? So I don't like it's very tough, right? And if you're not satisfied, you can actually write further prompt. You can say, can you please explain it with another example or maybe real world example. So it will do it for you. So even for example, something like how do you explain the Node.js event loop? So again, that will work, but I don't want to because then video will become so lengthy. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you the third way to use this plugin. So for example, now if I go to do JS and I say I copy this comment, explain the method, this. So I'm going to go to to.js and I'm going to put this comment. I'm going to hit Control Option Enter or return on the Mac. So as soon as I do this, you will see that there is a loading icon here that tells you now there's an API call going on. And you can also see here on the bottom fetching, you can actually cancel this request by clicking on cancel request here, or maybe there is a command as well that is given. You can run that command from the command palette to cancel this request. But since we are just trying to find out how does it work, so let's see. Now it has given me the to-do method is React functional component. It has explained all that to me. The other way to use the companion is to provide the multi-line comment. So similarly, if you see that, please provide the test cases for below to-do function. I'm going to copy this multi-line comment now and going to put this in the to-do file. I'm going to replace, or maybe let's put another comment. And now I'm going to say Control Option Enter. Now it is doing that for me. Let's see that. And now another interesting thing, if you have opened the editor, it will show the outcome here. If you have not, let's say you're working here without the AI code companion being open, what it will do, it will, after the API call, it will create a new file for you. Like in this case, you just saw that as soon as the API call was completed, because the AI code companion was not in focus. What it did is it actually opened a new file with that response, isn't it? So that's cool, right? So I'm gonna close this and go back to the companion. Now the interesting part here is that at this point of time, I have made some changes in my Git repository, right? Now, what I want to do, another approach to use AI code companion for increasing the productivity or improving the quality is to is to do automated code reviews, right? That's how can you do that? So there are two ways to do that. For example, I made changes here in multiple files. There is a demo script. I have added a new file. Then there is app.js, form.js, to.js. I made some changes here. So what I'm gonna do is, there are two ways to do it. One way is I'm gonna run the command AI code companion, and then there will be command review git changes and create release notes from your PR. That's one way. Or the other way to do is simply click on this button and review git changes and create notes from your PR. Let me quickly click it. As soon as you click it, you will see a status bar here again, fetching the details, AI code companion fetching the data. So it is now under the hood review, finding all the git changes that you have made in your code, and then it will review, and let's see what kind of code review comments that we will get by the generative AI. Okay, let's see that. So here, I'm scrolling because the code review comments are too much, looks like. So the one thing that you will notice, that it will give you the code review comments separately for each file. So for example, review comments for app.js, line number 10, there is a typo in the comment. It should be object instead of object. Awesome. Line 14, there is an extra comma after this. Okay, there is an extra character. Oh, this is really giving me all those low-level problems in the code. That's amazing. Let's see the form.js regression. Oh, it is actually able to tell me there is a regression in the code. How amazing it is. The on-change event handler for the input field should be corrected to on-change instead of on-click equal to this to ensure that the handle change function called when input value changes. Okay, maintainability, then accessibility, and then it is also giving me the changes of the review comments for to-do.js. It seems this new prop is not being used in the component. Please ensure that is being used correctly or remove if it is not needed. Amazing, isn't it? Because sometime if you create a prop and then you miss to use it, then it is actually telling you, right, that hey, you added a prop but you're not using it, so why don't you remove it, right? Or maybe use it. So the idea is to get the first level code review done and save the time in back and forth with your peers or with your with your pod lead, whosoever is going to hit that merge button, right? So you can do your own code review and then you can incorporate that. In fact, the beauty is it is actually recommending some of the changes in your code. That's how we can make it. Yep, that's another way how you can interact and improve the quality of your Git changes. Now, another important aspect that I forgot to mention is when you use AI Code Companion, it actually maintains the context separately for every project, and it does not mix the history or the chat context. So for example, right now if you see my history, right, it has maintained all the history here. Now if I go to my another project, let me switch to the another project, you will see there is no history here, right? I haven't even started interacting, and if I'll start using it, you will see no access token found, which means for this instance you need to provide a separate access token. That actually gives the freedom to use separate a different AI provider for this particular project. So for example, in this case, I want to use PS Chat. So I have changed the PS Chat, and now I want to change the model name like I mentioned earlier, GPT-4, and let's see if it will. Of course, I need to change this access token as well. For that, I need to again pause the video and copy that. Okay, I copied the access token for PS Chat, which I generated. Now quickly, let's run the command, set access key for this project, and I'm going to paste my access key, hit enter. Now, as soon as I start using it, hello, can you help me to understand the event loop in Node.js with some examples? Here you go. Okay, here it is. So I asked, hello, okay, there was a typo, but can you help me to understand the event loop in Node.js? And now PS Chat, sure, I would happy to explain the event loop in the Node.js. And now it is explaining with the examples all that. That's all for now. I hope I was able to showcase how can you quickly start working with the AI Code Companion while you are staying or you are spending most of your time in the Visual Studio Code. That's all for today. Thank you. Have a good day. And please provide the feedback if there is any. And we are planning to add more and more new features. The next feature that we are going to add is the inline code recommendations. Let's see, very soon we'll be able to publish that as well. Thank you.